We all kind of feel like we're pretty good at reading people, right? A little frown, a pause that's a bit too long, and boom, we're sure we know exactly what's going on in their head. But what if I told you that our built-in mind-reading software is, well, it's dangerously buggy? We're about to find out why you might be a terrible mind reader, and don't worry, we'll also cover how you can get a whole lot better.
Okay, to really get into this, let's listen in on a conversation. Picture two friends, Rohan and Priya, walking out of a big team meeting. Rohan is just fuming. You can see it. He spent the whole meeting watching his colleague Samir, who was just silent, didn't react to his presentation at all. And in Rohan's mind, the story of what just happened is already written, signed, and sealed.
And right here, this is the heart of the problem. Rohan sees silence, but he infers arrogance or disagreement. He's just guessing. But the reality, what's actually going on inside Samir's head, could be something else entirely. Maybe he's shy, or maybe he's just really thinking about the proposal. The key thing to get is this: we don't observe minds, we infer them, and our inferences, they're often just stories we tell ourselves.
So this is where Priya jumps in with this really fascinating idea. She says to Rohan, hey, before you try to figure out Samir, are you so sure you figured yourself out? That's a powerful thought, isn't it? How can we possibly hope to understand other people if we're often a total mystery to ourselves? Psychologists have a name for this. It's called post-rationalization, and we all do it. Think about the last time you bought a new phone or some cool gadget. Maybe you bought it impulsively just because it looked amazing. But when your friend asks why you got it, what do you say? You talk about the great battery life, the processor, the build quality. We act first, and then our brain invents this perfectly logical reason afterward to make us feel like we're in control. The brilliant psychologist Carl Jung just nailed it with this quote. I mean, if we can't even be totally sure about our own reasons for doing things, if we're kind of strangers to ourselves, what makes us so darn confident that we can accurately decode the incredibly complex inner world of someone like Samir? It's a huge and honestly a pretty arrogant leap to make. And that leads right into Priya's next point. She explains to Rohan that there's this powerful psychological trap that's making him feel so sure that his version of Samir is the absolute truth. It's a bias that shapes our reality every single day, and it has a name: the curse of objectivity. This is called naive realism, and it's basically the default setting for the human brain. We don't walk around thinking, well, I'm just seeing the world through my own unique filter of experiences and beliefs. Nope, we think, I see things as they really are. And so, if someone sees things differently, well, clearly they're the one who's biased or irrational. It couldn't possibly be us. The comedian George Carlin gave us the absolute perfect and hilarious example of naive realism in action. Just think about it. When you're driving, you are the perfect, reasonable standard of speed, right? Everyone else is judged against your supposedly objective truth. And that is exactly what Rohan is doing to Samir. And this isn't just about traffic, is it? This one little bias is the engine behind so much conflict. In the office, in politics, at the dinner table with family, arguments just erupt because we genuinely believe we are seeing the clear, objective truth, and the other person is just stubbornly refusing to see it. We assume we're right, and they're wrong. Period. Priya then makes this really smart point to Rohan. She says, listen, you and Samir were in the exact same meeting room, but you weren't in the same reality. How is that even possible? Well, it's because our perception isn't just about what we see, it's about the lens we're seeing it through. Context is everything. This gets us to what we can call the lens problem. So a manager assigns a new task. Through her lens, she sees it as giving a star employee a chance to show some initiative. But the employee, who's looking through a lens of a massive workload, sees that very same action as just more pressure. Same event, two totally different, and you could argue totally valid interpretations. It all depends on the lens. And this leads us to one of the biggest mistakes we make all the time. We see someone's behavior, and we immediately blame their character. Rohan sees Samir's silence, and his immediate conclusion is he's arrogant. He is completely ignoring the situation. What if Samir's kid is sick, or he just got some bad news 5 minutes before the meeting? The situation, not the character, is so often the real reason for how people act. Okay, so if we're strangers to ourselves, and we're trapped by this false sense of objectivity, and we're constantly misjudging the context, how on earth do we ever get it right? How can Rohan, or any of us, actually figure out what's going on in someone else's head? The solution, as Priya is about to reveal, is both radically simple and something we almost never do. First, let's just look at the broken tools we normally use.
There's projection. That's assuming Samir would be outgoing and chatty because that's what we would do. Then we might use stereotypes about his job title or where he's from. And, of course, as we've seen, we try to interpret his behavior. All three of these are fast, they're easy, and they are almost guaranteed to get it wrong. So what's the most sophisticated, high-tech, super accurate tool for understanding another person's mind? It's simply to ask them. That's it. A conversation is always better than an assumption. All of Rohan's stress and anger came from a story he completely made up. He could have replaced all that guesswork with one simple, direct chat. So what's the wise approach we can all take away from this? It's really 4 things. First, be humble. Just start by admitting that you probably don't know what's going on. Second, ask instead of guessing. Replace your assumptions with curiosity. Third, always consider the situation, the context. And finally, seek out other perspectives. Maybe Priya saw something in that meeting that Rohan completely missed.
And that really brings us to the end here. The real question isn't about Rohan and Samir. It's about you and me. We all have a Samir in our life, a coworker, a friend, a family member, whose mind we think we have all figured out. So here's the question I want to leave you with. Whose mind will you stop reading and finally start asking?